Okay, hi everybody. Welcome to the third weekly edition of LinkedIn Live from the Givz team. Nicole, we've been doing it 3 weeks now. That's good,
We're
right?
like practically professionals.
Yeah.
No, we're learning a lot, but it's been fun.
This is we're very excited to have the Benjamin Talks team here as guests. This is the second time that we have guests, so forgive us, Carissa and Nikki. Again, we're learning the ropes as we go here, but we're so excited to be partnered with you. 1, 2, to have you on this LinkedIn Live, and just for those watching, we're going to learn a lot about what Benjamin Talks does, how we're partnered together with Givz, but really we want to just learn. This is a super cool topic. If you are a parent, you're going to want to watch the whole thing, understand how you can talk to your kids about financial literacy, and the like. I will let Nikki and Carissa jump in here to talk about exactly what they do, why they do it, and I'll stop talking.
Sure. Thanks so much, Andrew. We're so excited to be here. We'll start off with a quick background. So Nikki and I first met on the trading floors at Goldman Sachs over a decade ago. Fast forward 10 years later, we find ourselves living in the same New York City suburb, raising our young families. We have six kids between us, all under 7, which is fun. And we really realized during a play date that we have this passion for financial literacy, and really that there's this big white space with financial literacy as it pertains to the very young children. So really children ages 4 through 13. There's not a lot of resources being put in financial literacy towards that demographic. So with that in mind, we launched Benjamin Talks in November of 2020 to really help parents and caregivers take the taboo out of money talk with their young children. And we really help parents do that through our 2 weekly free newsletters. So one weekly newsletter focuses on fundamental financial concepts. So what is allowance? What is budgeting? What is credit? And also lifestyle pieces. 5 ways to financial fitness, how to foster your mini entrepreneur. What does it mean to be a gracious giver? And then we have our Friday email, which is really our curated top 3 to 5 business and news finance topics of the week. And we do so with the child and parent in mind. So we'll talk about Roblox, and we'll talk about the metaverse, and we'll talk about SpaceX. We'll stay away from some topics that may not be appropriate for our young readers. And really we end all of our pieces with a penny for their thought. And that is really the prompt that parents and caregivers can use to start the conversation. So aside from our free content for the parents, we also have corporate partnerships. So we partner with corporations and we do webinars for their employees or their clients, and really where we focus on, again, family and finance topics. And then in addition to that, we have our patent pending Benji Bank, which is our take on the piggy bank, and it's siloed spending, saving, giving. And I'll turn it over to Nikki to add some of her thoughts.
Yeah, and we're so excited to be here chatting with you guys. I think, one of the main reasons we've partnered with Givz is it's super mission aligned from kind of the core principles we like to teach from a young age. And again, when we go to the initial thoughts on allowance and just the financial pillars, we really think about things in terms of teaching kids spending, saving, and giving from a really young age. And so the partnership with Givz made total sense. We've had a lot of success with it so far and are super excited about it. So when we first launched and we were, chatting through the financial pillars, we're like, how can we tell parents to teach their kids how to give without having a corporate mandate to do so? And so from, really early on, we had a partnership with Dream, and $5 from our Benji Bank goes directly to Dream. And Dream is a nonprofit focused on financial literacy, empowerment, education, and underrepresented urban youth. And so we've worked with them on, teach-ins and educational access, webinars, things like that, and also donation of our Benji Bank. So that's been something that we've done from the onset. And then when we met you guys, we were super excited because everything, as Carissa mentioned, that we like to do is involving our kids. And so the education component is no different. And it's kind of digesting all these financial topics and how do we really put these into action with the kids. And, many kids don't realize that some of the clothing or toys or tech brands that they love actually do give back. And so when, parents are making conscious decisions to support companies that work for a greater good, it's essential that they let their kids in on this. And so that's something that, with partnering with Givz, we are really excited about, because you can actually your dollars can do double duty, and pair those things together, and you can really bring your kids in on those conversations.
We like to call that the money moments, right? So we like to really jump in and use those money moments during everyday life to start money conversations with our kids. So parents are already doing these things. It's just taking it one step further and saying, okay, now just have a conversation with your kid. And this is how to start it. Here's our penny for their thoughts. This is how we start it. And this is how you get the ball rolling.
So cool. And one of the things that I loved about this, and actually we should really shout out Jen at Swindle Society, who was also working with, who made the introduction here. So thank you, Jen, for making that introduction, and everybody should check out Swindle as well. But we, when you said, hey, the Benji Bank already had the giving component to it, right? It's 3 compartments, one of which was giving. So cool. We're like, okay, we definitely are aligned here. And then the Benji Bank comes with, and correct me if I'm wrong, but it comes with like a little $5 faux bill that's already in the giving piece. And now there can actually be 2 $5 faux bills that go in there because you guys are donating another $5, but letting the kids choose, letting the parents choose, but have the kids involved in that conversation, I think is so cool, and something that is mission aligned for us. Part of it is, yes, giving back with every purchase, but a even bigger part of it is getting people to think about what they want to support, and doing that with the whole family. Super cool.
Yeah, definitely. I think that, one of the things that we like to talk about, and when you're initially bringing kids in on the giving conversation, is following their passions. And that's a really tangible way for them to be excited about it. And Givz and having Givz and that option really allows for that. So of course, the $5 give back to dream is great. It's mission aligned in terms of financial literacy, but let's take that a step further and let's let the kids really have that actionable money moment where they're helping choose a charity. So are they really, passionate about animals? Maybe it's a donation to, a farm sanctuary, whatever it may be. You can really get them involved and excited. And then that kind of sparks their interest in giving.
So cool. And Nicole, you have kids so actually first, Nikki and Carissa, tell us what age kids are, because I'm like, okay, I have a 1-year-old and a 3-year-old, and I'm like, is that too early? Like the 3-year-old can talk, the 1 can't, so that's too early. But at what point should I start going this? But Nicole's one step further than me, and so has a little bit older kids. So like, what's the right age there? And then Nicole, I would love to hear from you in terms of like how have you thought about this? Have you talked about this? What's the deal?
So when we think about all of our content that we're putting out, we really say like the starting age is really around 5. That being said, it's really child and family specific. So your oldest child is going to always be a little bit of a late bloomer, but sure enough, any subsequent children will want to get it on the action sooner. And that's with everything in life, right? So, with our older ones, we may not have started these conversations until they were like 4 or 5. But with our younger ones, what we're seeing is like by the age of 3, they're seeing their older siblings do it. They want it on the action. They want to give. They want an allowance. And when we are looking at that younger demographic, a good way to get them involved, especially on the giving side, is to make it super, super tangible. Mm-hmm. So maybe it's sitting with them while they're going through their old clothes. And when they're outgrowing clothes, saying, you know what, honey, sweetheart, like we know you love this really cozy fleece, and it kept you warm all last winter. It doesn't really fit you anymore, but let's give it to another family who could use it to help keep their kids warm. And that becomes tangible for children. And, children are innate givers and they always have this innate desire to help others. So it's really, again, triggering that in their head that we're already doing this, and letting them know that and getting them in on the action. So while a 3-year-old may not understand a monetary donation, they'll be able to understand giving of an actual tangible item. So really, you could start as young as 3. By 5, these are conversations that all families should be having.
I love that. I think that makes a lot of sense, actually, because compared to a 3-year-old, that's the oldest, and then a 3-year-old with an older brother or sister, I do think that they can catch on and jump in even quicker, for that matter. So I have 2 boys, 4 and 6-year-old boys, and I'll be honest, like the way that I was raised, and even my husband, like I would say generationally, it was just a little different. and maybe that's different per person, but for us, like money was not talked about quite as much as maybe it should have been. And it was one of those subjects that was better maybe not to be talked about, right? So I would say like that when you grow up and you have to learn on your own is a big shock, right? So I think that my husband and I, like, we really understood that we wanted to bring money conversations and business conversations into the fold at a very young age so that it became normal. It's just a normal conversation. It's not like a shock or anything. It's just, to your point, the earlier that you can just start having transparent conversations, oh, hi.
Well, it's so true, Nicole. We always say, like, let's take the taboo out of money talk, and it's not
Yes.
so our kids become money obsessed or, you know, all these things that parents
Yeah.
fear. It's really more so that they're empowered with the knowledge. No matter what
Yeah.
path they choose to take, they feel prepared, and that's kind of the again, Chris,
Hey,
that's kind of the,
welcome
you know,
back.
taking the taboo out of money talk is something
Yeah.
that we say often, and it's so true. I mean, parents are more likely to talk to their kids about sex than money. Again, money is something that's in our
Wow.
everyday lives.
Yeah.
So when we were initially launching Benjamin Talks, we're like, how is that possible? Like, you know, we
That's
need to just
amazing.
involve them in the conversation so that
Yep.
they have the knowledge. That's it.
Yeah, so I would say we've done a few things, and I'm just gonna like throw some things out. But I would say all moms can relate to like wanting to like clean their home and organize, especially as they get older and there's just toys. But you know, we really tried to be intentional about bringing them in and saying, instead of, I'm not going to say I haven't gone in and like grabbed stuff and donated it on my own, because I have, but we are now at this age, are bringing them into it and saying, hey, like, let's go through your room and let's talk about, it's okay that you care about these things, these toys, but let's give them to a kid who can enjoy them. Like, you don't play with it anymore. So we actually just did that. And we had two, you know, big tubs full, and we brought them in to a store, and they were able to walk the toys in and then donate those, right? So I think that there's something about bringing them into the fold even at a young age so they can see the full process. We also have we want them to learn that they can earn money. So we've actually also consigned toys, like if they have a bigger toy item or something like that, so that then they can see they can consign it, and then they can earn money on that too. And then what
Right.
are we going to do with that money? And so that's like the next conversation,
Yeah,
right? As far as
That is great.
the giving, the saving, the spending. And I will say that is a harder conversation. But we're working through it. And that's why I think like the resources you have and the tools that you're making, it's helpful so that parents can be, I think, intentional about it. And with intention, I think eventually it becomes more normal, right? Like it becomes a regular conversation. So
Yeah, kudos to you all on that. Real quick, I think the last thing before we wrap up, we try to keep these to, 15 minutes type of deal. Real quick before we wrap, I'd say I'd love to learn just a little bit more, and for anybody who's listening to learn a little bit more about the corporate side of this. And are you targeting larger corporations? Can Givz get this for their employees? Like what size corporations are you looking at, and how does that all work?
So, thus far, we really have ranged across the spectrum. So from, a smaller private wealth office to a large corporation like Snapchat, right? So we really ran the spectrum. And really, when we think about the corporate partnerships, it's kind of threefold. So one, it's having these corporate teach-ins. So maybe it's 5 ways to financial fitness for you and your family, and giving parents the tips and tricks to really make financial talks part of their conversation. Or the other one that's really a hot topic is allowance best practices, right? Because once allowance is given, it becomes very multifaceted and really a learning tool. So we do have the webinars. We also have had corporations who've bought our Benji Bank and done a teach-in for their clients or their children or their employees' children as part of either bring your child to work day and or as like a holiday gift. And then we've also had corporations buy our Benji Bank and donate it to underrepresented urban youth communities. So we've had those, different relationships.
So cool.
That's really
Anything else that anybody wants to say? Otherwise, I will say, go ahead, check out Benjamin Talks at benjamintalks.com. The Givz side of things, if you want to learn how Givz can help you at your business, feel free to DM Nicole or I anytime. And we really thank you both, Nikki and Carissa, for joining us today. This is awesome. Any last words? Anything?
We'll just give you a quick view of our Benjamin because I have one right here.
Yes.
Yes.
Cool.
So it's spend, save, give, and the tops are magnetile tops, so kids could easily access their cash and see their money grow.
So good.
So cool.
Thank you guys so much for having us. Love what
Thank
you
you
guys are
guys.
doing, and so excited to be partnered with you.
Feelings mutual. Thanks so much.
Thanks so much.
Bye.
Awesome. Chat soon. Bye, guys.
Bye.